Blake Lively, a name once spoken with admiration, smiles, and visions of red carpet glamour, now echoes through the halls of Hollywood with a very different vibe. A-lister, beloved public figure, and famously witty partner to Ryan Reynolds, she always carried the aura of someone who had it all together. But behind the glitzy highlights and magazine covers, a firestorm has been brewing. Suddenly, fans and insiders alike are turning their backs, calling her out for alleged manipulative tactics, controlling outbursts, and downright destructive behavior. Is it all smoke and mirrors, or are we witnessing one of the most jaw-dropping celebrity meltdowns in recent history? Buckle up, because this journey through the rise and fall and potential annihilation of Blake Lively's reputation will leave you wondering if we ever truly knew the real her. And by the time we reach the bitter end, you might be asking yourself, is this the final curtain call for Blake's Hollywood reign? Before the backlash, there was Blake, the fresh-faced star who rocketed to fame in her early roles, including that iconic teen drama that placed her atop the TV pantheon. She was often described as the embodiment of the cool girl stereotype, laid back yet impossibly fashionable, gracious in interviews and never short on a self-deprecating joke. It wasn't just her on-screen presence that shone, but her off-screen persona too. Tabloids ate it up. She was the fashionable sweetheart with an eye for elegant style and a witty sense of humor. Sure, she may have had the occasional run-of-the-mill tabloid rumor, but nothing stuck for long. In a city where new gossip cycles in every 10 minutes, she managed to dodge major scandals and keep her name somewhat pristine. She was every brand's dream spokeswoman, every red carpet's most anticipated arrival, and every talk show's delightful highlight. That's why it was all the more shocking when the first cracks showed up. Nobody expected the darling of the industry to have a darker side, but the more you try to suppress something in Hollywood, the more it tends to explode when it finally sees the light of day. If you're a casual observer, you might have missed the early signs. A clipped remark to a reporter here, a terse moment with a stylist there. These tidbits would surface online, only to be drowned out by her next charming Instagram post or playful banter with Ryan Reynolds. She's just having an off day, fans would say. Paparazzi stress, speculated others. But as the years rolled by, multiple accounts emerged telling a similar story, that behind closed doors, Blake Lively could be pushy, impatient, and almost obsessively determined to have things her way. At first, these accounts were dismissed as the typical rumor mill. Yet certain threads on social media started describing her as a control freak, someone who might be wonderful if you played by her rules, but an absolute nightmare if you dared to say no. These early rumors hinted that her unstoppable ambition was more than a mere drive for excellence. People started calling it Blake's steel hand in a velvet glove. The nicer she appeared in public, the more suspicious some observers grew. Because, after all, Hollywood thrives on illusions. Why should Blake Lively's brand be any different? Enter Justin Baldoni, a man known for championing heartfelt stories and a respectful, empathetic approach to filmmaking. On paper, pairing Justin's positive ethos with Blake's star power sounded like the ultimate ticket to box office success. Their joint project, the adaptation of It Ends With Us, promised to tap into an emotional storyline that would resonate with countless fans. It was a match seemingly blessed by the Hollywood gods. Yet almost from the start, rumors suggested a clash of creative titans. One camp whispered that Blake felt the script needed extra polish and tried pushing new directions onto the production team. Another side alleged that Justin wanted to maintain a certain tone that aligned with his Baha'i faith, emphasizing gentle storytelling and collaboration. So, when push came to shove, the synergy turned into friction. Insiders claimed the tension escalated beyond typical creative differences. We're talking about behind-the-scenes power struggles that left cast and crew members treading on eggshells. It's one thing to be passionate, quite another to dominate a film set so thoroughly that everyone else feels muzzled. Worst of all, according to these whispers, Blake wasn't even the director, yet she acted like she alone could shape the film into her personal vision. Whether driven by altruism or arrogance, it was a recipe for disaster. Ryan Reynolds, widely regarded as a comedic genius with a golden persona, tried to diffuse the tension with humor. In a cameo on Saturday Night Live, he dropped a self-referential line about how he was doing great. Why, what have you heard? A typical Ryan quip, right? Short, playful, but ironically timed, in a way that suggested he was aware of the swirling controversies. Yet, instead of lightening the mood, the remark seemed to infuriate or bewilder many viewers. They wondered if he was trivializing serious allegations just to salvage a comedic moment. The conversation then widened. How much did Ryan actually know about his wife's alleged behavior? Was he complicit in it, or was he simply performing the loyal partner routine, supporting her as best he could while uncertain about the real story himself? Critics pointed out that if Blake's meltdown was as severe as reports suggested, Ryan might be enabling a toxic situation by glossing it over with jokes. Others speculated he was stuck between a rock and a hard place, forced to defend his spouse despite her tarnishing brand. Either way, Reynolds' attempt at comedic damage control only deepened the curiosity and the cynicism swirling around them both. In Tinseltown, reputations can unravel faster than a poorly stitched gown, especially if rumors of unprofessional behavior cross a certain threshold. Studios invest millions in each production, so any star who might hijack creative decisions and sabotage morale poses a genuine threat to the project's success. Blake Lively, once a top-tier star with an ironclad image, began to see her fortress crumble overnight. First came the whisper that she was being quietly dropped from a high-profile promotional campaign. Then came other rumblings. Projects she had been rumored to star in were postponed, with no new dates announced. Word spread quickly. Producers weren't eager to attach themselves to a potential liability. Worse yet, big-name colleagues who normally jump to defend Blake remained suspiciously silent. Not even the usual cadre of celebrity pals seemed willing to vouch for her. Even folks who typically rally around an embattled friend saw the wave of negative press as too huge to safely navigate. Was it fear of losing deals? Or had these insiders seen enough behind-the-scenes chaos to say, "No thanks, I'll pass on that PR nightmare"? With every new leak, the condemnation grew. Some called Blake a monster, overly controlling, manipulative, out for vengeance if she didn't get her way. Others suggested that a deeper nuance could exist. Maybe the friction with Justin Baldoni stemmed from real cultural misunderstandings, amplified by a meltdown of communication. According to this line of thought, there's a chance both sides tried to champion their beliefs. Blake's unstoppable drive to craft the best version of the story, and Justin's desire to stick to a collaborative and empathetic ethic. Neither approach was necessarily evil, but the collision was devastating. And once personal accusations flew, any middle ground vanished. Still, many fans found it hard to swallow the notion that this was a mere misunderstanding. If it were that simple, would there really be so many behind-the-scenes insiders echoing the same narrative? Namely, that Blake demanded near total control of a production, not even helmed by her? The more details that spilled, the more the "oops, we just miscommunicated" excuse sounded hollow. Amid all this chaos, there was an even more tangible metric to gauge the fallout: social media following. Anyone with a smartphone could watch in real time as Blake's followers plummeted. First by the tens of thousands, then by the hundreds of thousands. Forums counted the drops with gleeful headlines. "Blake just lost another 50K fans overnight." People who once adored her began mocking her online, dissecting every tweet, every Instagram caption, every attempt at a heartfelt update. At the same time, Justin Baldoni's following crept upward, not by astronomical numbers at first, but steadily enough to notice. It was as if watchers were rallying around a man they believed had been unfairly targeted. He was doing nothing more than continuing his quiet stance, surfing in Hawaii, focusing on future projects, and letting the drama swirl around him. His strategy, or lack thereof, made him appear calm and gracious, which only contrasted further with Blake's frantic PR scuffle. Then came the comedic potshots. One particularly viral meme featured a cartoon of a furious, stylized Blake launching a slingshot at a chill Baldoni, referencing an infamous magazine cover. People joked that the cover was tasteless or sexist, but ironically, that cartoon only amplified the sense that she was the aggressor. It was a microcosm of the entire feud. Each time Blake or her team tried to control the narrative, it seemed to backfire. At this point, it's near impossible to gauge how Blake could salvage her image. A heartfelt apology might be too little, too late. An Oprah-style sit-down interview might backfire if she can't produce genuine remorse or proof that she's been unfairly maligned. She might attempt a philanthropic pivot, focusing on charitable work and stepping away from the limelight, but cynics are already rolling their eyes at the prospect of a charity redemption tour. Then, of course, there's the looming specter of a courtroom showdown. If Justin Baldoni's legal team goes for the jugular, they might uncover messages, emails, or call records that paint a damning picture of deceit and manipulation. Or conversely, they could reveal a more nuanced story where misunderstandings got wildly out of control. Either way, the result could define Blake's next move. We've seen celebrities rebuild from ashes before, but rarely under such relentless public scrutiny. The question is, does she have the humility or the strategy to orchestrate a genuine comeback? Or are we witnessing the last flickers of a star who flew too close to the sun only to crash at breakneck speed. The story of Blake Lively's apparent downfall is so wild that a few years ago, it would have sounded like a bizarre piece of celebrity fanfiction. Yet here we are, sifting through allegations of behind-the-scenes sabotage, meltdown-level PR nightmares, and a looming legal brawl that could shatter her career. Once America's sweetheart, now labeled by some as Hollywood's most hated woman, she's discovering the harsh reality that fans and colleagues won't tolerate toxic behavior forever. Whether you believe she's a misunderstood creative genius who stepped on the wrong toes, or a manipulative figure who orchestrated a personal agenda at the expense of others, one truth stands out. The grace period for questionable conduct in Hollywood has never been shorter. In an era of viral hashtags and instant accountability, star power alone can't shield anyone from backlash. So what happens next? Maybe Blake remains defiant, doubling down on her narrative. Maybe Ryan Reynolds pivots to protect his own brand, leaving the marriage and her meltdown to unravel. Or maybe, just maybe, we'll see a heartfelt confession and a slow climb back to a respectable position in the industry. But as it stands, the magnitude of this meltdown suggests she has a mountain to climb if she hopes to regain the trust of fans, let alone a place on Hollywood's A-list. For now, the cameras keep rolling, the lawsuits inch forward, and the public scours every new headline for the next big revelation. Will Justin Baldoni continue to enjoy an unbothered ascent, or will Blake find a way to pull herself from the ashes? It's a cliffhanger worthy of the wildest Hollywood scripts, and one that proves once again that truth can be far stranger than fiction. Stay tuned, because if there's one certainty in this entire debacle, it's that nobody is walking away from this unscathed. The real question is whether Blake Lively's once golden Hollywood story is coming to a permanent end, or if she's got one final surprise plot twist up her sleeve.